Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a complex, everyday phenomenon and breaking it down so you can really understand what's happening beneath the surface. We're going to talk about something that is incredibly painful, often deeply confusing, and honestly, surprisingly common. Have you ever experienced that dizzying whiplash where you're getting really close to a partner? Everything feels amazing, the connection is totally electric, and then suddenly they just pull away? Just as things get close, they vanish, either emotionally or physically. It just leaves you spinning, wondering what on earth you did wrong. Well, today, we're unpacking the exact mechanics of why this happens.
So, they pull away. Why? That's usually the very first question that pops into our heads, right? Our immediate instinct is to think, oh man, they just lost interest in me, or I must have come on way too strong. But I really want us to look closely at this dynamic today, because the truth is, this sudden distance is rarely about them losing interest in the relationship. In fact, it's usually about something much deeper and way more complex that's quietly driving their behavior behind the scenes.
Section 1. The threat of closeness.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp what's going on, we have to shift our perspective to a neutral, psychological framework. That way, we can understand the dynamic without taking it quite so personally. Psychologists call this specific pattern avoidant attachment. As you can see, it's a pattern formed early in life where closeness literally starts to feel like a threat instead of a comfort. Think about that for a second. For most of us, intimacy and closeness equals safety. But for someone with avoidant attachment, their brain has essentially been wired to sound a huge alarm when someone gets too close. It is absolutely crucial to realize that this is a deeply ingrained, learned pattern. It is not a conscious, malicious choice to hurt you or play games with your emotions.
Section 2. 5 signs of avoidance.
So how does that internal alarm system actually look in real life? Let's look at sign 1, pulling away after getting close. Picture this. You have a genuinely incredible date. You share this deep conversation, there's real vulnerability, you feel totally seen. And then, almost predictably, the distance kicks in. They suddenly take 3 days to reply to a simple text, or they're suddenly way too busy to hang out for weeks. It feels like a paradox, right? But here's the thing. They aren't pulling away because the connection wasn't real. They are pulling away precisely because it felt too real and honestly, too fast for their nervous system to handle. The intimacy itself is what triggered the retreat.
Which leads us right into sign 2, deflecting emotion. Have you ever tried to have a serious heart-to-heart talk and the other person instantly cracks a joke to deflect? Or they just quickly change the subject? Or maybe they just totally shut down and go quiet? It's so easy to look at that and think they just don't care. But that's a huge misconception. It is not a lack of feeling. It's simply that they don't know how to safely sit inside an emotional conversation. The emotional weight just feels completely overwhelming to them, so deflecting becomes their go-to survival mechanism.
And then we have sign 3, which might actually be the most fascinating and counterintuitive one on the list. It's the sudden need for space right when things feel serious. They might say they need time to think, or they suddenly decide they need to go on an extreme solo camping trip for the weekend to find themselves. But pay attention to the timing here. This sudden urge for intense independence is almost always triggered exactly when a relationship starts feeling stable. It happens because the relationship is working, not because it's failing. The stability and the commitment are exactly what activate their fear of being trapped or losing their autonomy.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast. Sign 4 often presents on the surface as this extreme self-reliance. They never ask for help, they never say I need you. On the left side, it looks incredibly strong and put together. But look at the right side. Beneath that fierce independence hides a profound, often completely secret discomfort with depending on anyone. It's this learned belief, deep down in their core, that needing people ultimately just leads to disappointment. Basically, if they don't need you, you can't let them down. And all of this culminates in sign 5, valuing independence over connection, even when it costs them dearly. When they're faced with a difficult moment in a relationship, they will consistently choose distance over conflict. They'll choose their personal freedom over closeness. And they will do this even in relationships that deeply, truly matter to them, simply because independence has always felt safer than intimacy. Let's just pause for a second and lock these in. Distance predictably following vulnerability, deflecting deep emotional talks, needing sudden space specifically when things get stable, struggling to ever ask for help, and ultimately valuing their distance over working through conflict. Seeing these bullet points laid out together makes the pattern incredibly clear, doesn't it? But to truly get a handle on this, we have to stop looking at just the surface behaviors and dive beneath to uncover the hidden root cause.
Section 3, the hidden root cause.
To navigate this dynamic, we have to look past the frustrating surface-level stuff and ask, where does this protective armor actually come from? Let's look at this timeline. In the early years, from birth to age 7, this person is often in an environment where their emotional needs just aren't reliably met. Maybe caregivers were absent, overwhelmed, or dismissive. Moving into the formative years, ages 8 to 17, that young, developing mind adapts. It learns a fundamental lesson. Relying on others hurts, so self-sufficiency is safer. They learn, I have to take care of myself because no one else will. By the time they reach their adult years, 18 and beyond, the blueprint is totally set. Closeness isn't warm and fuzzy anymore. Closeness is perceived as a very real threat to their hard-won safety and independence. You see, avoidant attachment usually isn't chosen. It's built.
Section 4. Understanding changes everything. So the crucial point is that recognizing this origin story is an absolute game changer. It completely shifts us from a place of taking things personally to a place of objective clarity. It isn't about assigning blame. It's definitely not about making them the villain and you the victim, or vice versa. It's exactly what this quote says. It's about understanding why closeness feels complicated for some people and choosing patience or honesty accordingly. Once you have this knowledge, you're empowered. You can look at the dynamic and say, okay, I understand their mechanics. Now, do I have the patience to navigate this safely with them, or do I need to establish an honest boundary for my own well-being? Let's wrap up with this thought. What if their distance isn't a rejection of you, but a defense against their own fear? When you look through that lens, the whole picture changes, doesn't it? It offers a real sense of empathetic relief. It wasn't that you weren't enough, it was that the closeness was too much. If this explainer resonated with you, if it shed light on someone in your life, or hey, maybe even illuminated a part of yourself, make sure to follow us. We'll be back soon to break down more real psychology, explained simply, right here,